Alrighty, welcome back. Time for match number 2. We are getting ready to jump into Hanwha Life Esports versus T1. Two teams that people have been quite excited about as we get ready to go into the 2021 LCK split. Hanwha Life making some drastic changes after some unsatisfying years of play in the LCK.
Yeah, I think once you get 6th a couple of years in a row and then you get 8th, I think you're only regressing, right? And you're going to be looking to make some changes, and they have over time, but they've gone pretty hard with this one. You pick up 2 of the biggest names in Korea, and these are guys that have been offered millions by other teams around the world, not just in Korea. And you say, okay, well, I got my checkbook. Sign right here, please. Like, we will pay for you.
Yeah.
And they did that with Chovy and Deft, of course. Now, they have some players that will be supporting them on the roster. It'll be interesting to see how well it goes, but I think you can't go wrong when you have 2 of the best in Korea on your roster.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid place to start and then build around them with some nice up-and-coming young talent. So it's the route that Hanwha Life is trying to go. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at the squads.
안녕하세요. 한화생명 e스포츠 미드라이너 초비 정재훈입니다. 한화생명으로 이적하게 된 이유는 감독님이 굉장히 많이 어필해 주셨고 기존에 알고 있던 멤버들도 있기 때문에 오게 된 것 같습니다. 솔직히 이적 시장 때 저한테 많이 관심들을 가져주셔서 부담이 컸는데 근데 이 부담이 좋은 의미의 부담이었기 때문에 되게 즐거운 부담이었고 다음에도 또 이런 부담을 느끼고 싶네요.
네, 안녕하세요. 한화생명 e스포츠에서 원거리 딜러를 맡고 있는 데프트 김혁규입니다. 사실 이제 초비 선수 빼고는 같이 지낸 지 한 달 정도 돼가는 것 같은데 딱히 뭔가 성격적으로도 모난 친구가 없고 되게 또 열심히 하는 친구들이어서 그냥 길게 봤을 때 되게 재밌을 것 같아요. 성적에 되게 초점이 맞춰져 있는 대회는 아니다 보니까 무조건 이길 수 있다 이런 자신감은 솔직히 그렇게 크진 않지만 그래도 지는 건 다 싫거든요. 선수들도 그렇고 저도 그렇고 그래서 꼭 이길 수 있도록 열심히 준비해 보겠습니다.
There you go. Able to hear from Deft. So like I said, no wild players. Everybody's pretty pretty tame. They're all, farm raised, grass fed.
Yeah, just like the alpaca himself. And this is the lineup they're going to be going with in this game. So Hanwha Life Esports always brings a pretty deep roster. Not everybody plays, but they always have at least 10 players that they have on the roster. So 5 main players, 5 subs. They did a lot of swapping in the last year of 2020, and Dudu was one of the guys that we saw kind of swapped in and out. Did have some good moments, some bad moments, but I feel like overall he's slowly gotten better. Vista, also another guy that has shown he has potential. I think he actually even filled in for the mid lane a couple of times and showed that, hey, he's, not bad.
I don't think he's going to have to do that with Chovy on the line.
No, I don't think he's ever going to have that option available, maybe in 2022. But certainly the guy, or maybe it wasn't mid lane, maybe it was 80 carry. My memory is failing me at this moment in time, but definitely a guy that has some versatility, and I think that he will go very well with Deft, kind of just leading the charge as the veteran in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, like Deft said, not that much time together yet, so still going to be working on those synergies, but we'll see how they perform in just a little bit. But first, we'll take a look at T1.
안녕하세요. T1의 탑을 맡고 있는 로치 김강희라고 합니다. 좋은 기회가 된 것 같기도 하고 좋은 성적을 보여줄 생각에 살짝 들떠 있긴 합니다. 사실 제가 이 팀에 합류하게 된 계기 중에 어느 정도 많은 지분을 가지게 된 게 뱅기 감독님이어가지고 경기 피드백적으로도 많이 도움이 되고 좋은 말씀 많이 해주셔가지고 되게 좋으신 분인 것 같아요. 저희가 더 잘해줄 수 있게 최고의 인물이라 생각합니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 이제 T1의 2군 서포터를 맡고 있는 김태기 에스퍼라고 합니다. 괜찮다고 생각이 들긴 해요. 뭐 짧은 시간 동안 연습을 계속 하긴 했는데 나름 나쁘지 않다고 생각해요. 어느 1군이랑 해도 뭐 딱히 밀리지 않는다? 이 정도까지는 볼 수 있을 것 같아요. 라인전을 잘한다? 네, 그거 하나는 다른 팀이랑 비슷할 것 같아요. 열심히 해가지고 좋은 성적 내보도록 노력하겠습니다.
here you go. The youngins on T1 going to be taking it to the stage today. Head coached by Gen.G, of course. Trying to find some success against, I would say the favored Hanwha Life Esports.
Yeah, it's interesting what T1 does with their second-tier roster where they have like a separate coaching staff and all that stuff. It's pretty interesting, but they've brought the whole second roster over to the KeSPA Cup, and we'll be looking to make some waves anyway with this roster, as, of course, Mowgli moving around a lot. He is back here in Korea. Used to play for the Afrika Freaks back in 2017, I believe it was. Has shown a lot of promise, and I like that he does make it into the T1 org. The thing about this is that all these players are pretty good. You know, they're not like huge standouts alone. But if you're scrimming every day with the main roster, and they even mentioned that, hey, we go even in lane at least with some of the top teams as well in Korea. That's, they're not going to get rolled over just because they're a second roster or anything like that.
To be fair, he said when compared with other teams, we're strong. So it depends on who you're comparing yourself to in that situation.
True.
But I digress. Here we go. Let's see what they have prepared, what Gen.G's got ready and cooked up for T1. Already off the bat, going to be Zoe Mandaway.
Yeah, Zoe off the board here. Pantheon also denied. No Lucian at all. I do not want to give that to Dudu and Chovy. Please, God, no. And Deft. Almost forgot about that, but the second I saw his name, I'm like, yep, don't want to give them that either. Gragas will be denied. He slowly gained priority, and then now he's slowly gaining priority on the bench, getting banned out. 2 games in a row now. And what else are we going to see denied here? Will we see Samira get through again?
Okay, will be an attack on the support pool. So Pantheon and that Leona now going to be taken off the board. Hanwha Life, it will be the Akali. So still does maintain its 100% ban rate across the now 7 series that we're getting into.
Graves to be the first pick here, going over to Mowgli. And yeah, I mean, that's a pretty dangerous pick to leave up. I think it's probably the strongest jungle right now. It is just way too good, especially with the Gale Force. It just adds even a huger amount of pressure than we've seen in past seasons. And it is going to be countered here, essentially, by the Olaf that does get picked up. Not countered in the sense that Olaf is a straight-up counter, but just the response here, I should say, from Arthur into that jungle.
Yeah, so another aggressive option. We saw Croco play a wonderful Olaf game just yesterday. So Arthur is going to pilot. It's going to be a very early Orianna from the side of Hanwha Life for Chovy.
Yeah, pretty interesting, actually, that Orianna does get that amount of priority. We saw it picked pretty late by the side of Fred at Brion. But, kind of made sense because they had to pick their top and their mid, and they went with something safe into a blind lane.
Yeah.
And I suppose Chovy just says, give me Orianna. I can beat anyone with this. It doesn't matter what they play into me. This is a very safe pick for me. I'll just go ahead and pick it up.
Well, for T1, go ahead, pick up the Kai'Sa Alistar combo. So, much like we just did get to see from Fred at Brion in game number 1, that will draw a response of the Misfortune.
Yeah, Misfortune going to be picked up here, and can be pretty annoying against an Alistar if the Alistar is in position, but generally, if you are a strong Misfortune player, your positioning has to be really on point with that champion, and you can most of the time just avoid it. And of course, it's depth. I mean, this guy played in the All-Star games, and he is one of the best AD carries in Korea, if not the world. Extremely strong. And we do see the Azir now going to be banned away. That's one of the picks that Chovy does not want to play into, apparently.
Yeah, wants to get rid of anything that can really poke him down from an extreme range, so does get rid of that Azir. Silas as well, going to be banned out by T1. mentioned yesterday, sometimes you do see, Silas, he can be flexed around the map, doesn't necessarily have to be in that mid lane. So T1 wanting to get that out of potentially, Dudu's hands or even Arthur if they want to pilot that in the jungle.
Yep.
Why not?
Why not, indeed. Malphite banned out here. Very popular as a top tank at the moment. Does pretty well with the Sunfire item. As Nautilus also going to be taken off the board here, so they don't want to deal with another tanky support, so they're able to squeeze a little bit of that support pool, but then immediately we see the Shen, which of course could be flexed into the top lane, but does get played support as well.
Yeah, won't know. Hanwha Life just keeping things a bit ambiguous until we see that final pick come through. Kennen covered at the moment.
Yeah. You can imagine they want to save the counter pick for top lane, so it's almost definitely going into the support role, and so you see Kennen picked here as something that can handle a lot of stuff, especially such as a Renekton if it does want to get picked up here as a 5th pick to go over to Dudu.
Final pick here from T1. Likely going to decide the draft for Hanwha.
Do it.
And they
yes.
lock it in. We will have Anivia buffed on 1025. Somebody finally picks it up.
Yeah. Anivia, pretty interesting. Camille actually does get picked up.
Ooh.
This is definitely a Dudu champion. And he says, okay, I know what I'm going into now. Just give me the Camille right away. No problem.
Normally when you say something's a Dudu champion, it has another connotation to it. But in this case, it's a Dudu champion.
In a good facet, I suppose, a good way. And yeah, it is. As well as the Anivia here. Definitely, again, something that still can be punished by more aggressive mid laners, but up against an Orianna, you can have a lot of fun. The Orianna doesn't have too much mobility, obviously no ability to dash over walls. It's not like he's going up against the Yasuo or anything like that. And so I think that was a pretty good spot to pick the Anivia and bring out the changed/buff Anivia.
Yeah, I mean, without help of the jungle, trying to get a solo kill on Anivia, unless you can, take her down twice, getting her killed, then finishing off the egg in one fell swoop as an Orianna can be a pretty tough task to try to pull off. We'll see how Chovy is going to respond. It was a very confident lock-in on the Orianna, but now we finally get to see our first Anivia of the tournament.
Really looking forward to that mid matchup. Not just because it's Chovy, but of course he is going up against the Anivia up in the top side. Or the top team, I should say, there, T1. We're not having top Anivia just yet. Not yet, Achilles.
Yeah, and top's also over in, playing in the Demacia Cup,
True.
so there's that as well. Well, we should be jumping in on the Summoner's Rift very shortly, so let's go ahead and kick off match number 2.
Look at the skin. Is that like Pacific Rim Anivia?
This might shock you.
Huh?
Never seen that movie in completion.
Really?
You
saw a little bit?
I've seen like maybe a half hour of it, and then a big gap, and then maybe the very end of the movie.
Just like on TV or something?
Airplanes.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember what those are? Because I
No.
barely do.
No, I haven't seen too many.
Especially since Jin Air,
Yeah.
I miss you, Jin Air. I don't miss your 94-minute games, though.
No. Nope, definitely do not. They make for some epic moments, I suppose.
They absolutely did. They made history in one of the most regrettable ways in my life.
Okay.
I'm a part of that history, so it's great. Nice little invade going to be coming through, though. Ward over the wall onto the red pit, looking to zone Mowgli away. Start up on a little popcorn chickens here, and Mowgli's going to be sent back over towards his blue buff.
This is actually really nice because this is what Graves wants, right? He really loves
Good ward.
the Raptors, as does Olaf, of course. So if you can get in there at the latest possible time, deny the enemy what he wants and get exactly what you want, just simply, that is a really nice trade. You're taking away one of the best camps for the Graves, and Mowgli has to have this awkward blue start, which, you know, if it was an awkward red start, I suppose that would feel a little bit better, but now he's got to go invade here, and let's see what the response will be from Arthur.
Well, he's just going to charge straight over towards his red side. Chovy's got the push in on the wave, so he might be able to collapse back. And yeah, he's going to move into the river up towards Mowgli. So he's currently fighting this red buff. This could be a dangerous moment now. Undertow doesn't get the hit that he was looking for. Arthur knows that this is being fought. Throws out the axe, and Mowgli might just get zoned off of 2 red buffs, and he will.
Yeah, this is really feels bad moments. He's like, okay, well, now what do I do, my Gromp?
He can't route to take away the blue, and even if he did, Arthur would be there.
Yeah.
Mild scuffle on the bottom lane. Asper will take a little bit of damage, but yeah, he's just going to get 3 buffed on this first start.
Yeah. And again, it's because of multiple different factors, right? You have Chovy that's pushing in early against the Anivia, who is not going to have as much pushing power, so he's able to get that priority in the mid lane. You have the scenario where you didn't get any help with any leash or anything like that, whereas the enemy Olaf was able to clear those Raptors in the red very fast. And so just able to be a lot quicker around the jungle was Arthur to start this one off, and that just put Mowgli so far behind. And let's see if he can come back from it, because, again, Graves really strong, but if you can't get that early farm, or much farm at all, in this game, you're not going to be having a fun time, because that's one of his greatest strengths.
Yeah, much like the Olaf. So he's on that same side of the coin, but is the one who is profiting quite nicely. Chovy as well, getting a good push here. Arrow in this mid lane, just chunking him down wherever possible and keeping himself ahead in CS. So will come out. He does get stunned up. A nice chunk of damage does come through. So even early, even without any AP items, you still do have to oftentimes respect the damage output of that Anivia if they can get the frostbite on you.
Yeah, he's chugging his corrupting pop, just trying to stay relevant in the early game before he hits level 6. Just trying to trade a little bit here against Chovy, but Chovy having just a fine time. He has gone biscuits in his rune build, so able to, you know, be just fine and get pretty far ahead early on against this Anivia. And the top lane, just taking a look at this, of course, Roach on the cannon up against the Camille. For Dudu, the cannon is going to have a pretty fun time early on in the game, whereas later on, the Camille can go for some fun all-in attempts.
Gonna have to play back, try not to get poked out too heavily. See what the first objective swing is going to be. The Olaf set up quite nicely this early on. Could very well go and take an Ocean Drake solo.
Yeah, saw some pings around there. You see that Vistus hanging around, maybe looking to help clear some vision before he does head over to that objective. And yeah, just because of the timing, he's able to come in here and spot Mowgli too.
Shockwave's out. It's going to be the passive. Procs here, they dash in, get the taunt, they're looking for the first blood, and they will find it. Spoon-fed to Chovy, sets up the play. The rest come in response to guarantee the kill. And Hanwha Life Esports are on the board.
Yeah. Definitely an interesting set of plays. I think Miro was just saying, okay, I have my egg. Even if you kill me, you can't kill my egg. I should be fine. But he should have gotten vision and at least communication from his team that Vista was right there. And because he wasn't under turret, there was a chance that Chovy could get him low enough to kill through the egg, which we saw there. The majority of the damage was Chovy just chunking the egg down. And that's one lane where it's just not going to be competitive. We're already seeing it. I mean, Chovy, there's a reason why DRX in 2020 got so far. Part of the reason is because Chovy is such an insanely strong laner, especially.
Yeah.
And he's showing that here, that if you're not ready to go, he's just going to kill you. He doesn't normally do that. He normally just wins in CS and has more priority and more pressure, but against a guy like Miru, he's making it clear that there is a big mid gap right now.
It's like, yeah, red ward inside of that red brush here in the top of Hanwha Life's jungle does get spotted and cleared out by Arthur, so keeping himself safe because he knows that red buff is going to be on the way momentarily. A little bit of damage traded out here on the Chovy, but he's just going to be kind of back very safely. Still has his refillable potion charges as well as some biscuits to keep himself topped up. As we'll get a nice little replay here of Miru dying.
Yeah, so as a mid laner or as a laner at all, you need to know when the enemy laners are going to hit their next level. There's something Ellis has talked about in the past where he is literally counting the amount of CS that can get you that level. You should have an idea at least that Chovy is about to hit 6. If you've played this game enough, you'll just feel it. And he just was too close. He got too close to the sun, immediately just throws that one out. He doesn't even flash the shockwave. And so there's really there's nothing really positive too much to say about that exchange for Miru. It's just Chovy picking up the free kill.
Wow. Full time going to be used, shoving Berserker back away from the tower, clearing out the wave. Their own wave a bit further away, so have to wait for that to crash, but this is going to be the back timing now for Death. It's going to be comfortably up by 24 CS at the moment as Berserker does catch that wave underneath his turret. And the Rift Herald is going to be taking on a merry little chase before returning home.
I was worried that Miru was going to get caught doing the Raptors here because that would just be the worst couple of first deaths for a guy playing in this tournament.
Just FF after that.
Like, totally mental boomed after that one.
There's nothing more to be done here. Let's go next and get ready for the last game of the day.
Yeah, well, at least he did not die.
Yep.
At the end of the day, he got the Raptors, he got out.
Mowgli has started this. It's in vision. There's a ward in the back of the pit, so they're perfectly aware that this is being taken. Arthur nearby. See if he decides to route his way over to the Rift Herald, where now Asper will be hovering. I think that's probably enough to dissuade trying to go for this.
Yeah, they had Chovy get in the blue at the same time. It seemed to be a little bit of an awkward timing.
Arthur's on a ward. I don't think he realizes it.
Yeah, he just backs away, so it should be the free Rift Heralds here to the side of T1. But again, I mean, that's okay. Their lanes are just so far ahead, it's insane. Like, we talked about a couple of the key players for Hanwha Life, Chovy and Deft. Take a look at their CS leads in this game. I mean, we're only 9 minutes in, but it's already starting.
Yeah. It's not been a great look.
Yeah. Keep in mind that the bottom lane has seen no action at all.
Yeah.
There's been nothing happening.
A bullet time was used.
Yes.
Other than that, Deft is just making it rain.
They were like zoning him out of ranged minions underneath the turret because they were scared of getting dove. And I mean, there wasn't really much pressure there at all. As you can see, Miro, he's trying to get stuff done here. He's building up that tier.
Oh, really good hits. Comes down as well. So yeah, Chovy playing a bit too far forward there. Show a little more respect to the damage output as he's down to his last biscuit.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. He'll figure out how to handle this one. Just not getting in range of that that ultimate from the Anivia. But again, this is the good spot for the Anivia. You hit 6, you're building up your tier, you're taking some trades, but at the end of the day, you're just trying to clear waves and farm up items. You're not really going to get too aggressive unless you have Mowgli nearby. Speaking of which, he is nearby, trying to lay down this Rift Herald.
Hiding around the corner. Supports do come down. Asper playing forward. 2 come out of the brush. Arrives, getting the taunt off. Ult comes through. Asper just going to be heading for the hills. Quite a bit of damage now going to be pushed out onto Chovy. Here on Evil to finish him off, though. That seems like it might be the dance around the dragon. Taunt goes through. Asper getting chunked low. Ult already expelled. Vista finds the kill as they try to exit. But it seems like Arthur will go down. He tries to trade one back onto Mowgli. Gets a little bit of a hit onto him. Can't finish off the Graves. See, though, with as low as his HP is, he wants to even try to start this dragon. Dep's still going to be hovering nearby, and yeah, will just be a quick draw over the wall to take himself out to safety.
Yeah, and as with every fight, you kind of have to take a look at what's going on right after. Chovy was not in the fight, but he took that moment to back and pick up his mythic item already. Okay, he has 134 CS at 12 minutes into the game. He gets a Leandry's.
Leandry's.
I'm really angry
I'm
after this one.
Leandry.
Leandry's anguish, as I put those two words together. And you see that they didn't expect the 2 extra members of Hanwha Life to be right there.
Yeah.
And so T1 has to back off a little bit, but then the follow-up here from Asper is actually quite nice. Deft is like, yeah, let me just ult them. No, you can't just do that. The taunt totally misses. And so even though the Alistair does give his life, it's a good sacrifice to get themselves a couple of kills on the back of that one.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, the mid lane is there's just too much of a difference, and T1 was too low after the trade that they couldn't take the dragon, so you're missing out on more CS in the mid lane. You're missing out on the dragon, so what exactly did you win from the fight? Not really much at all. As, you know, I want to catch myself. I think it was actually only 1-for-1 at the end of that trade as well.
Yeah. Well, tower takes a little bit of damage. A couple plates going to be knocked off of it, but Chovy arrives very quickly, takes down the Rift Herald. So still is a 1.6k gold lead now for Hanwha Life. And another mythic completed as Deft does have his Eclipse in his pocket.
Yeah, Eclipse seeming to be the go-to item for all MFs around the world.
But Pulverize is out. Well, I'm just going to be cruising away. You know what? Well, I'll just use this to escape. Don't want to try to overcommit and get put into a bad position. He is still going to be rather squishy. And oh boy, the Mythics just keep on coming. Oh.
They didn't do it.
Nope.
It didn't go over the wall. And yeah, that was an interesting ultimate from Chovy. Got to point that one out. That wasn't exactly his best work. But at the end of the day, it's okay. Saves Olaf's life. He's just going to be able to walk away from that one scot-free. And Miro, again, is desperately trying to clear waves here at the moment. Trying to get to that first item. As at least the Cannon has picked up the Rocket Belt. That's going to be the first mythic for the side of T1.
But it's against a Trinity Force Camille now.
Yeah.
So that could still be a bit problematic because he doesn't have the Zonias.
Yeah.
Does have the stopwatch for, you know, the single use to keep himself safe in case of an all-in.
And it's 1 mythic to 4. You know, some champions don't build mythic first. You know, sometimes you want to go into other builds. We saw that a little bit before.
Well, Kai'Sa's definitely one of them. You go for the Manamune first, then let that tick up as you go on. Rudan's Hurricane typically, and then go into something like the Gale Force or the Kraken Slayer. So yeah, there are some cases where it's not the most optimal to just rush for the mythic.
Berserker's terrified.
Well, he should be. Bullet Time just tore him apart, and Vista might just be able to scoop the kill. Waits for the dash away, and we'll land the taunt, but no one quite close enough to capitalize to finish him off. Hookshot goes out. Dudu stunned up, tries to retreat back underneath the tower, but now it's going to be the Stand United coming through. Goes golden, but he is stuck inside of the Hex ultimatum, and Vista will be able to get this kill.
Yeah, the
Meantime, tower is taken
stopwatch, interesting. If you're going to use it, try to dodge. Okay, hold that thought.
Well, Headbutt Pulverize in on the backside of the stun on the Chovy. He's going to play aggressively. Gets the shockwave, but it's just too low. Does get finished off, but the kill does go to Asper.
Yeah, Asper getting that last hit, and at the end of the day, Chovy didn't have any summoners, so it's a nice setup. He immediately buys Merc Treads after that. He's like, oh, that's not going to happen again.
Yep.
Let me try to stay alive in this one, because he already has a nice amount of damage being built up, although not too much magic penetration in the builds. So we'll see if he gets anything to help out with that a little bit later on. As Mowgli going to pick up his second Rift Herald tier. Not so bad, given the way that the game started, at least. Able to pick up both of those objectives.
Yeah, he's just sticking to the jungle now and picking up everything he can. We'll get another look at this little skirmish in the top lane that didn't quite go Roach's way.
Yeah, he should know that the Shen has Stand United available. So if you're ever going to go for this, you have to have your jungle nearby. It's just the way that it happens with Shen. You can't just take trades that you're not 100% sure that you can 100-0 them through the shield. And he certainly did not have the damage there. Chovy getting caught here with no summoners. It's a pretty bad feeling against Anivia and Alistair, to say the least, and they're easily able to set up that kill.
Well, Rift Herald will get summoned into the mid lane. There's going to be 3 or 4 members pretty shortly here from the side of Hanwha Life, but the charge is going to do quite a bit of damage. It will save the tower, albeit very slightly and likely briefly. Hanwha Life still holding on to a pretty solid gold lead of 2.6 thousand at the moment as they just continue to grow their CS leads. After that kill on the top side of the map, Dudu has started to take a bit of a stronger lead, where before he was starting to inch behind the cannon, and then, you know, Chovy and Deft have just had a stranglehold on their lanes the entire time.
Yeah, looks like we're setting up for a bit of a fight over this Drake. It is just a Cloud Drake, another Cloud Soul, actually, in this game.
Hooray.
Second game in a row. But if you're T1, I'm not sure you want to fight this one too much. You're going up against a lot of power right now that is coming off of first items from some of the Hanwha Life members.
It depends on the setup. The Slicing Maelstrom from Roach could be absolutely huge if he can get into position. Dudu's on the backside, goes down the ward, is spotted. Ward to clear out. Dragon, however, just going to be taken here by Arthur in the end, and it will result in a non-commitment from the side of T1.
Yep. Just not really finding the angle, I suppose. You mentioned how they have a lot of tools to try to get that done with the Alistair and the Kennen, but kind of just standing in a straight line, don't really find the angle there, and just going to give that one over the side of Hanwha Life. It's not a huge deal. Even if the Cloud Soul does go the way of Hanwha Life, you're not too sad about it.
Yeah.
Of course, you don't want to just give everything for free. You were speaking about Gen Air. That used to be kind of their trademark, where it was like, we're going to lose, but we're going to lose really slowly.
Yeah.
Because we're never going to take a fight. Like, we're just going to sit here and just relax.
Before that, it was, you know, steal from the rich and feed the poor.
Yeah.
They'd always take
then
down a top team and then completely into the bottom tier teams in the LCK. But those times are now in the past.
Yeah.
But they will be fondly remembered.
They were the reverse gatekeepers, although they didn't always win against the top teams, of course. So that does stand to be
If you can't beat us, you're probably in first place.
Yeah. And yeah, we're just kind of hanging out here. You're never really going to be able to push into this Anivia. She's always going to lock down the mid lane turret, so this is not going to be an easy take for the side of Hanwha Life. We do have the Baron coming up in about 15 seconds, but I don't think they want to just rush that down just yet. You can see Berserker. We haven't really talked too much about him so far, but
There hasn't been much to say.
yeah.
You know, he got a kill in the earlier skirmish when they first got on the board. And that's about it.
That's about it, yeah.
He hasn't been able to contribute to too much else because, you know, T1, they haven't been able to find their way into an engaged situation. Deft just forcing the way forward.
Right now, the difference between Deft and Berserker in terms of items even is pretty massive, okay? We have Eclipse and Muramana finished for Deft. He is about 50 CS ahead. The Mana Mute is completed for the KeSPA. It is not fully stacked. He does not have a second item. So if they took a fight right now, I think they would just get utterly destroyed. Again, it would come down to the way that T1 engage. But you have other strong members on the side of Hanwha Life that could try to shore that one up. So we'll have to wait and see if a fight even does break out in this game. We haven't really seen too many opportunities outside of the dragon fight that almost started up.
Yeah, I mean, having to go for the rush towards the Muramana and then having Deft beat you there, plus have an Eclipse, plus have his boots completed, is a bit of a bad feeling.
It is.
But it is what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, the tier stacked and built entirely for Chovy. as well. He has finished the Seraph's Embrace. And did, of course, build the Leander's Anguish as his first item, his mythic item. And I think eventually, if nothing happens in this game, that we're just going to begin to see Dudu get a bit out of control. He's already on 2 items.
Speaking of which, there it is. Dive in underneath the tower. Berserker over to the side, flashes underneath the tower. The arrival of the rest of his squad. They might be able to turn this around. Roach going to be jumping forward. Slicing Maelstrom comes out. Berserker with a sliver of HP. Fizz is just going to flash right into the face. Finish him off. While Miru was just sat underneath of the tower in his egg form, waiting to come back. As he does rejoin the fight, he will find the killing blow on Dudu. But the top tier 1 tower has fallen as Chovy continues to push.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, Hanwha Life could just begin to force the issue in the side lane. They have the Shen to hop on in. The Shen now 3-0-1, by the way.
He's got a 300 gold bounty on his head.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that locket, but he was just laughing in the face of Berserker, who could do nothing.
Yep.
Flashed on him, swiped him with the sword. It was a little bit unfortunate for Dudu, who couldn't get out alive with the double TP that did come in. But let's take another look here once again. This is just a play that you're going to be able to set up. And, okay, so that's why he had 0 health.
Yeah, I was wondering, why would you TP in with that little HP? But
Yeah,
now we have the full story.
Oh, man.
Styling on him. I mean, you were talking this guy up before we got into the game, you know, saying how you've heard that he's quite good. And so far, he's delivering on it, at least with this Shen pick.
He's very good. He wasn't in a situation in the past couple of years to actually show it, I would say. And he was pretty inconsistent. He's quite young overall, Vista, but we're going to be seeing more and more of this guy, I believe.
The Dragon falling lower and lower. Shockwave comes out onto 2. That's going to be Dudu now into the back line. Hopefully Will manage to secure the Dragon, finds a follow-up kill onto Arthur. 2 for 1, however, as Dudu starts to unleash on the members of T1. Hook shot over the long part of the wall. You can do that? I had no idea you can make that leap. Does get locked up by the wall of the Blizzard, however, so will fall in the end.
How did he make that jump?
I don't know.
That's like the one thing we're going to have to look at in the replay.
Well, a 3 for 2 exchange and a Dragon loss here for the side of KT.
Yeah, so take a look. The engage here, this is what we were talking about from T1, but I give this about a C-. The Alistair gets blocked by the Shen, who does so much more in this fight. The Kennen was just slicing air. I guess that's why it's called the Slicing Maelstrom. And then what?
Ha! Okay.
It's like he got boosted over that part of the wall, and I don't know, it was seen as a thinner part. I don't know, that was a pretty clean jump. That was pretty crazy. And the way that they handled that engage was perfect. Vista covered the top side. Chovy got a perfect ult on the 2 people in the back line, so they couldn't follow up. The Kennen was rendered useless in the middle of that fight. And so even though, you know, the Mowgli got in there, stole the Dragon, there did seem to be a very clear plan in terms of the engage for T1. It got shut down pretty simply by the side of Hanwha Life.
Yeah. I'm still just kind of reeling from the wall jump there, to be perfectly honest. Caught me off guard being able to make that, but Hanwha Life, over 3,500 gold, the lead right now for them. Asper starting to press forward, running at him a little bit, but he's unable to find anything. Now it's going to be the re-engage here from Hanwha Life. Jump over the wall. Here comes Dudu. He's got the Stand United with him as well. Taunt goes through, finds 2. Vista taken down with the bullet time. Layered in from depth in the back line. That's going to be a double kill now for the Misfortune. He'll press forward, rejoins the front line, flashes in, looks for the shot. It's a triple. Berserker gets knocked out of the park, and now Hanwha Life can go ahead and pull over onto the Baron.
That was pretty clean from the side of Hanwha Life, and it was even a bit forced, but still it looked super clean, and it really came down to some of the mechanical plays that I'll break down in the replay there. Vista is having a really nice game. I feel like he's going to enjoy his time on this team alongside of of Deft, but also the rest of them, because coming in here with Dudu, he gets right into that back line. It's only the two of them, right? A really nice wall from the Anivia, but Vista gets in, taunts two, stopwatches at the perfect time, and Dudu's right there to save his life. And then Deft, you know, stalling a little bit, saying, okay, I'm going to shoot you in the back of the head as you're walking away. A very aggressive engage from the side of Hanwha Life, but they make that combo work that we've seen already multiple times in this game, and they made it look super clean because of their mechanics.
Yeah, they really did. Great coordination from Dudu and Vista to start it off, and Deft just comes in to clean it all up. So, gold lead continues to spiral out of control at the chagrin of T1.
Yeah. I mean, they lost pretty much every lane. The top lane was kind of even, but at the same time, if the Camille is just going even with the Kennen and living because of the Shen support that's all over you whenever you try to engage, you're not really losing that lane. And eventually, the Camille is going to look really nice, unless, of course, Nuguri is playing the Kennen, which we won't be seeing here in Korea anymore, unfortunately. But, you know, he hasn't really been able to get too many great engages. And, of course, after that fight, they did pick up the Baron, and the push is coming in now. So almost a 10,000 gold lead here for the side of Hanwha Life, who are just trucking them now.
Yeah, I mean, it would take a bit of a miracle to try to come back into this one. Bull time will come through, will force out the egg, and will just finish it off with the final vestiges of bullets flying forward from the pistols.
Yeah.
The bird does fall. Flash just a few seconds off from being available again. Press forward comes in from Roach, slicing Maelstrom goes out. Shields will come in onto Arthur. It's not enough to keep him alive, but the turnaround on the fight is there. Asper will flash over the wall, and Hanwha Life is, you know what, it's not hunting season. Let's just go for the base. We don't need to chase the cow. First inhibitor will fall, and 20 plus seconds still remaining for Miro to rejoin. The Baron-empowered minions will get forced into the base. The final turrets will get taken down, and Hanwha Life Esports explode onto Summoner's Rift for their first series here in the KeSPA Cup.
Oh, Vista.
Not dead. 3-0-10, baby. Does not die.
Dead. There you go. Easy win from Hanwha Life. Just flexing a little bit there on T1. They made that look so simple. But I guarantee you, you know, had it been a less mechanically skilled team, they would not have done as well. But Hanwha Life looked really great, just in general. Their laning, their early game looks really solid, and then their team fighting. It's like already, Vista is like, hey, yeah, what's up, guys? I'm actually with some good laners. Thank you so much. He gets put back into support, and he, to me, you know, obviously the lanes were a little bit one-sided, but like he was the one guy to me that was just like popping off by himself.
The standout performance from him.
Yeah, he might just get my MVP vote, even though, of course, Chovy is just like 1v1ing people, and Deft is like getting double triples in this game. And Dudu had great engages as well.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it was a slow vamp, but that's what you would expect from him having to play against the Kennen in that top lane. You know, back and forth, was able to stay competitive in CS, which is always a really good sign when you're playing against that range matchup. And then, like you mentioned, it hit a certain point, and Dudu was able to take off. There was no coming back from it, no way to recover. And T1, they're just kind of, you know, drowned. They couldn't keep their heads above the water. Hanwha Life just snuffed them out.
Yeah, Hanwha Life looking really good. I think that's a great first look at that team. Yes. I know a lot of people were excited for that roster with, of course, Chovy and Deft kind of leading the way, but it's about those other pieces as well. You know, how well they can do alongside of them. And I do specifically think that Vista, especially, and Dudu did do quite well for them there. And Arthur, you know, he wasn't as obvious, I guess, but he kind of did his job in the early game.
It was a great start. Yeah, fantastic start for an Olaf to really offset things from Mowgli. Mowgli's one of those players, at least, you know, in the past when I first started commentating him, was if he got ahead early, it was something to be concerned about. But if he had to play from behind, it might not. You might not see results from him. So really offsetting the Graves early on, making sure that he could have as little of an impact as humanly possible was a really good play. So whoever made that call really good job to go for that invade, get the triple buff off the start, and it just kind of set the tone for how the rest of the map was going to go.
Yeah, and the comparison between the teams we saw playing Game 1 and Hanwha Life is like night and day, because it's about those setup plays that we saw that you mentioned with the Olaf invading, but it's also just they looked so comfortable as a team.
Yeah.
Like they were all playing really as a 5-man group, and that's not something you can say about every team now in the KeSPA Cup this early on, that they just looked that comfortable. Now we'll see how they do against better teams, because honestly, T1's second roster did not impress today at all. But for now, I mean, it's a good first impression, and I'm excited to see them play more.
I mean, I think obviously the matchup that everybody's going to want to see as the final, as we look forward to the future, is going to be Damwon versus Hanwha Life Esports, at least for now. There's still other teams we have to see. We haven't seen Gen.G yet. You know, we gotta go through those motions. We still have got a couple games to be played here today, but I think just from what the teams have shown as far as cohesion and individual performances, that's probably the final that you're keeping your fingers crossed for.
Yeah, I do think that this group is a bit weaker comparatively to the first group that we did see yesterday. And we saw a little bit of that here. Chovy is just like, yeah, welcome. Welcome back, Miru. I think especially with Olaf coming over, he was going to die even with the Shen.
Yeah.
If the Shen wasn't there. And, you know, some moments where T1 showed that, yes, they do have some decent engage. They can make things happen. But at the end of the day, this ended up being a pretty clean victory to the side of Hanwha Life. Even here, they back up very smartly. They're able to get out of here. Only the Olaf dies. And Chovy comes back with Leandri's Anguish. And you're like, oh, okay.
I can give a thumbs up to Asper. You know, just it was refreshing to see a stronger performance on Alistair after what we saw in our first series. Didn't mess up his combos and had some good headbutt pulverizers coming through there to catch multiple members on the side of Hanwha Life. Obviously wasn't enough to get them back into it. And this is just the fantastic rocket play coming through.
Oh boy.
Just when you think you're safe.
Yeah, look at that ult in the back line from Chovy, and then Berserker gets totally isolated by Dudu. No escape for him, even though he flashes. And they just reacted to the pressure perfectly, and this is the real fight that that wall jump, still insane.
I will never recreate that.
No.
I won't be able to do it.
No, it's not going to happen. And here, you know, it looks forced. They're going all the way into the back line, but it just doesn't matter. Chovy's ultimate doesn't really get any value at all. Asper, he's tanking by himself on the other side. Roach wasn't even here. He wasn't even here for the entire fight. He didn't have teleport, so he couldn't do anything as his team just died.
Maybe it's mean, but I think it would have been the same thing if he was there from the beginning. He probably would have just watched them die.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, the amount of damage and depth and the amount of items that he had to be that far ahead. This was the Hail Mary attempt from Roach. Takes him low, does manage to pick up Arthur, but there's just too much damage, too much beakiness from the side of Hanwha Life for the remaining members. And, yeah, depth does damage.
Yeah, he did double what Chovy did, essentially. It's funny that they both end in 107. Is it a sign? Who knows what it means? But Chovy did so much more in, not more than depth, but compared to what his damage number says. You know, he did a lot more than what his damage says. They both had an incredible game for sure.
They absolutely did. Well, we are just about at the halfway point. Coming up next for match number 3, Gen.G going up against KT Rolster. We'll see if they can bounce back and have another 2-0 start here. But we'll be back in just a few minutes. So stay tuned, guys. Match number 3 coming up in about 10 minutes.